Know our other honorees are anxious to tell their story, and so let's get our program underway. Now we journey east, and at this time we're going to go all the way east, and we are looking forward to hearing more about our outstanding young farmers from the Atlantic region. David and Sarah Simmons of Pure Holsteins in Little Rapid, Newfoundland. So let's welcome the Simmons from Newfoundland.
Good afternoon, honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, fellow nominees, and alumni. We are David and Sarah Simmons, owners and operators of Pure Holsteins Limited, and we're very honored to be with you all this afternoon representing Atlantic Canada. I was born and raised on a broiler farm until the age of 7, at which point my father Bruce and his brother Keith purchased Hammond Farm, a layer and dairy operation from my grandfather Scott. I returned home after graduating from the Nova Scotia Agricultural College, now known as the Dalhousie Faculty of Agriculture, with a diploma in agricultural business. While at the NSCC, Sarah and I had met.
I was born and raised on a dairy farm in Moncton, New Brunswick, Warview Farms. I graduated from the NSCC in 2005 with a diploma in animal science. From there, I went home to farm with my parents and one of my 4 brothers. After David and I became engaged in 2008, I moved to Newfoundland. We felt there was more room and opportunities for our future in Newfoundland with the facilities, land base, and business size. We were married in the spring of 2009 and welcomed our daughter Felicity into the world in 2011. At 4 years old, she was already actively involved with feeding calves, scraping stalls, nurturing kittens, and helping out in any way that she can. We are proud to raise our daughter to have a strong work ethic and appreciation for agriculture. We look forward to the day when Felicity can choose to play a more active role in our family business.
We are located in Little Rapids, just outside the city of Corner Brook on the west coast of Newfoundland. We milk 100 cows with 2 Lely A4 robots. We currently have over 100 replacements housed in 3 different barns, 2 of which we renovated from the layer operation. We rotationally graze 20 acres of pasture, and we harvest 60 acres of small square bales for young stock and show heifers. And I see some of you sweating when I said small square bales, and all I have to say is, happy wife, happy life. Since my return from college and Sarah joining the farm, we managed the dairy operation with my father's youngest brother, Wayne. In the winter of 2010, Wayne stepped back from the management of the dairy, allowing us to move forward as managers.
David and I were eager to apply our education, experience, and passion to bring the business to the next level. We immediately began setting goals to accomplish this.
In early 2011, the family began discussing succession. Given the family dynamics and the fact that I was the only interested child from 3 brothers, we entered into a rather unconventional succession plan. In October of 2011, we started Pure Holsteins Limited. We purchased at market value all the equipment and livestock required to run the dairy. At that time, we also entered into a long-term lease on the facilities and milk quota. Hammond Farm continued to manage the crops and manure. At the end of the 2014 cropping season, my father Bruce announced that he was retiring from the farm. During this year's cropping season, I filled my father's void working with my uncles. This year, my uncle Keith has announced that he too would like to retire and not be quite as involved. These events have created the opportunity for Sarah and I to become a part of their business and potentially become shareholders in the not-so-far future.
We've had dramatic production changes and overall herd improvements since we became the sole managers in 2008. We adjusted the milking herd size from 220 to 100 animals due to our provincial quota system. Daily milk per cow average increased from 28 liters to 39 liters a cow. Yearly lactation average has increased from 9,000 liters to 12,000 liters. Average butter fat increased from 3.7 to 4.2%. Our herd's average days of milk decreased from 220 to now 155. The herd call rate has decreased from 40% to less than 20. The average calving interval was over 15 months, and now it's just under 13. The lameness rate was over 20%, and now it's less than 1%. Average age at first calf was well over 30 months. Now we average 22 and a half months. Calves were not raised at home in 2008. Now we raise all animals at home with less than a 1% mortality rate. Classification of 2-year-olds averaged 79 points, and now we average 83.8. In 2008, 70% of the herd classified good plus and better. Today it's over 97%. Herd classification is now 8 excellent, 58 very good, 41 good plus, and 3 good. Our cows have been awarded Superior Production Awards, Starbrew Cow Awards, and many All-Atlantic nominations. Our herd has been CQM approved for the last 4 years, and our business has a Newfoundland approved environmental plan.
Some of the investments we have made to reach these goals. We've installed rubber flooring in all areas that our cows travel. We also have installed 2 24-foot ceiling fans to help improve our barn's air circulation, and new cow brushes to keep our cows happy and clean. To help with the clean aspect, we also have automatic manure scrapers throughout the barn. Additionally, we installed an advanced camera system that allows us to monitor our maternity and sick pens, cow and heifer groups, along with our nursery. Also our vet room and milk tank area for security purposes. All of our cameras can be accessed and controlled from our smartphones. And our biggest goal is to remain married. So we installed the new manure evacuation and agitation system to alleviate a large number of my frustrations. It has been working fantastic.
We also purchased a milk shuttle. This provides us with very accurate feeding system for our calves, which includes temperature and dosage control. The consistency has made our calves healthier and happier. We take huge pride in cow comfort. We have well-bedded pens. Our stalls are deeply bedded with straw and shavings. Even though our cows are housed in a freestyle environment, they are very clean.
We used to milk our cows in the double 10 milking parlor. Due to the lack of skilled labor in Newfoundland and the potential for further herd advancements, 1 year ago we made the biggest investment yet, one which would not have been possible without government support and grant programs. We purchased and installed 2 Lely A4 astronaut robotic milkers, which are the first robotic milkers in Newfoundland. From July to November of 2014, we're very proud to have completed all the required renovations ourselves, with the exception of the electrical work.
The robots give us phenomenal management capabilities and real-time information to our smartphones. Every time a cow is milked, we know her body weight, her temperature, her milk production, her rumination, which is how many times a day she chews her cud, her activity, which is like having a Fitbit, along with a number of key point indicators to help us manage overall udder and cow health.
There are mobile applications that help us manage our cows and our robots. Pictured here are an example of some of the apps we use. They allow us to input all management data such as breedings, treatments, and observations. We also use the apps to track chores. All of our daily chores and standard operating procedures are in the apps. If an employee is unsure of how to complete a task, they can open the How-To app and read our description. All individual and herd data is available real time. It's technology gains like these that have helped us have more time for our family and be able to give more time back to our community and industry.
As young farmers, it is quite difficult to spend time away from the farm. However, we recognize the importance of contributing to the industry by getting involved with agriculture boards and committees. David has taken a leadership role through being the president of the Nova Scotia Newfoundland Holstein branch, chair of the Newfoundland and Labrador Young Farmers Forum, and director of Atlantic Holstein Promotions. As for me, someone needs to stay home and do the work.
This does make things busier at home with Sarah, but she's more than capable of taking care of our business as I travel with boards. And after all, I am the dairy farmer's husband, not the other way around. With that said, we both see the value in doing our part for the industry. We have both become actively involved in the planning and development of our annual agricultural fall fair. We are very proud that the dairy show has grown from child showing a calf in 2008 with 13 animals, and over 100 animals showing this past year with over 40 kids showing their calves. Very proud that Felicity was one of those 40 kids.
Exhibiting our animals in cow shows is a passion we share. We compete at all the major shows in Atlantic Canada. We have sold animals to buyers throughout Canada and the United States, and have had them gone on to show at the Royal Agriculture Winter Fair in Toronto and the World Dairy Expo in Madison, Wisconsin. As most people know, social media is a great source of information. Networking on social media platforms is an important part of our business. It helps us market our animals and educate our consumers, a key point to our industry's success.
Our work ethic does not only apply to our business and the industry, it also applies to our community. Sarah volunteers her time with our local volunteer fire departments, annual ball and fundraising events, also our local search and rescue fundraising events. Another passion we share is for horses. We regularly board and help care for the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary's mounted unit when they traveled our end of the province. In recognition of this service, this past year during National Police Week, the RNC presented us with the only citizenship award handed out in Corner Brook. I recently became a member of the local volunteer fire department, and Sarah and I are community representatives on the committee for developing a strategic agricultural plan in the Humber Valley, the region which we live in.
3 things which have helped us to get where we are today are: 1, to start each day with a positive attitude. We've encountered a fair share of major breakdowns, bad luck, growing pains. Remaining positive is key.
Number 2, working hard, as is the case for all agricultural sectors. We need to continue to work hard and be dedicated to our business and its success while remaining dedicated to our family life.
3, set goals for the future. Setting goals and making a plan has gotten us where we are today. It has also allowed us to think outside the box on ways to further profit our business. For example, we have recently opened a Prina Feeds and Needs Supply store on the farm, which has very quickly become a great source of income. We are also shareholders in Holstein Universe, a company which has started to market embryos online. We also offer design and creation of logos and websites for fellow dairy producers. Recently, we have developed and begun to market a mobile app called Sync21, which is used to track breeding and cow reproductive information. David and I continue to brainstorm ways to further profit our business and set goals for the future. We are excited to see what those will be.
As with the other nominees, we have worked very hard to get where we are today. We would like to acknowledge all the work that is put into the Outstanding Young Farmers Program by the alumni and the contribution of the sponsors. Without these groups, there would be no OYF program and no opportunity to highlight the achievements of young farmers in our industries. We extend a sincere thank you to the host committee. We congratulate our fellow nominees on being here today, and we wish you all the best of luck. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much to the Simmons for sharing that presentation with us and giving us a glimpse of their operation. That means it's question time, so the mics are open if someone has a question. Oh, they're jumping to the microphone this time. So we'll let you start. And do you have your... We've got a question en français to begin with. We'll get everybody wired for sound, and then we'll...
Okay, go ahead. Carl Marquis from Quebec. I'm also a Holstein producer, and really I'm amazed by all your achievements, your technical achievements. But I wonder, you said that you had robots and you had grants in order to expand. Can you please explain?
A good question. The government in Newfoundland is very supportive of agriculture. I would have to probably say most of you would be jealous of the opportunities we have. So we access Growing Forward grants. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. So for our road project, we accessed about $345,000 from Growing Forward. And additionally, we have a PAP program, Provincial Agri-Foods Assistance Program, which is a Newfoundland Labrador provincial program, which will fund up to $40,000 a year on a 50% basis. So we spent 80, we got 40. So that was the funding I was referring to in the project.
All right, we've got another question over here. Go ahead, please.
James Kinsman from the Atlantic. First of all, congratulations on your achievements to getting here. One thing I picked up on was the succession of your farm. A little bit unique compared to a lot of dairy farms as a past generation. Just wondering if you could maybe elaborate on the challenges and the opportunities that presented you.
Thank you. A real good question. I think one of the things that's been a little bit more difficult for us in some situations, if it had maybe just been my father, it may have been a handed down or a different way of succession. But because there was, three brothers, a family dynamic, that's not sort of the way it could take place. So when we decided that we were going to succeed, it was crucial that we paid market value for all equipment, we paid market value for all livestock. Nothing was given to us at a discount or a deal, so to speak, or a family deal. So it proved to be a little bit more challenging starting out to manage cash flow. But I think in the long run, it's probably only going to make us stronger.
All right, I think we have time for one more question if there are any other questions to come forward. We've got one over here. Go ahead.
I was just curious, I'm from a dairy farm in Ontario, and I know these robots need very specific maintenance and service, and I'm sure there's other elements of your business that service may be difficult in your locations. I was wondering if you could flesh that out a little bit.
Actually, being the first farmers in Newfoundland, it was scary for us getting into robotics, and I think it was pretty scary for Laley too. So they developed a plan so that we were successful, and it was a successful installation for them. I actually spent 2 weeks on robotic training with them, spent a week in Pella, Iowa, and truth of the matter is we pretty well have a full robot and spare parts sitting on the farm. So, it was an additional expense, but it was the way that Laley thought we would be successful and not run into breakdowns and problems, and we respected their opinion and their plan very much.
Are you the only ones now, or are there others in Newfoundland?
I believe everybody's kind of sitting around looking at us, seeing how it's going to go, and we're the guinea pigs, but we don't feel like guinea pigs. We're going to do it, and we're going to make it work, and it was just as simple as that.
All right. Well, with that, then we will anxiously see what kind of goodies the Simmons have brought to us from Atlantic Canada that they will be sharing with the other OYF nominees this year.
So very quickly, I'm not sure a lot of you have been to Newfoundland, but not around Christmas time. So a common tradition in Newfoundland during Christmas is mummering. Where a group of people that dress up, use pillowcases over their head and travel around to their friends' houses, bring guitars, dance, play music. But the big thing is not being identified as the mummer. It's quite a long tradition. Usually happens on the old 12th day of Christmas, which is January 6th. So we have some handcrafted mummer Christmas tree ornaments, and we figured for sure that every Christmas our new friends and fellow nominees will be thinking about us. We also have some Newfoundland chocolate, and it's a little bit unique. You might have to switch to channel 3 for Newfoundland translation, because this one here is what are you at? This one is oh me nerves. And there's a number of other ones. Each couple will have a different saying on the chocolate bar. And yes, bye. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that story and for sharing a little bit of Newfoundland culture with us today. With that, we will head back west a little bit, and it's now time to meet our Quebec honorees. And so if you are not bilingual, you may want to get your headsets on as we begin our presentation. And with that, we are very pleased to say welcome in Alberta to Christian Bilodeau and Annie Sirois. S'il vous plaît, bienvenue to our Quebec honorees.
Madam Chair, guests, alumni, honorable jungle, we are very happy to be finalists in this great event. And I would like to wish a good luck to the another candidate. Je m'appelle Christian Bilodeau.
My name is Christian Bilodeau, and I want to introduce my spouse, Annie Sirois. We are owners of a dairy farm, which is located 50 minutes south of Quebec City, and we've been sharing our life goals together for almost 20 years, and we're very happy to present to you our best accomplishment, our family. We are the proud parents of 4 children, Kellyanne, Louis Alexis, Charles-Antoine, and Lily. We are the 4th generation of Bilodeaus who are operating this Ayrshire farm over the last 117 years. My father-in-law is still quite involved in the work. Our children also give us a lot of help in order to try to help them discover everything there is to this that's good about producing quality food for our consumers. I started my career as a farmer quite young. At the age of 15, I was milking for neighbors. After my studies, I worked for Vellecta for 6 years. And finally, Annie and I became owners of the farm in September 2012. During the transfer, my parents were very open to the process and wanted to see us established in agriculture. Annie got a college diploma, which allowed us to get a 5 kilograms quota to help with the farm transfer. I got from La Coratière a college diploma in farm management, but especially I met a lady from Bécomo, 510 kilometers from home. And why do you think that I went so far to find a spouse? Well, I wanted to avoid inbreeding. I like to practice what I learned in school. Now on the serious side, I got my college diploma in animal health at La Coratière, and I got a work visa to work in Saint-Odillon. Both of us have a good basic training, and we also try to get ongoing training whenever we can that would help us on the technical, human, or economic side. Before 1999, the herd was on 2 different sites. The heifer was not very well mechanized. We had 25 milking cows with an average of 7,000 kgs. With time, all the buildings were renovated, a rebuilt garage, barn, stable, house, and finally a robotic milking barn. Lots of good things, but always looking at the viability of our investments. Today, we have a dairy farm that's highly automated, 14,000 square feet that can house about 100 head with a robotic milking system that milks 55 cows on average 3 times a day with an average of 8,500 kgs, 4.4% butterfat, 3.5% protein. This good production is the result of a calving interval of 382 days, average days in milk under 160, and a breeding ratio of 1.84 per gestation. We work with our veterinarian on prevention, vaccination, etc., and we harvest embryos 3 or 4 times per year. In April 2011, a major event hit our enterprise. Yes, Ayrshire Canada awarded us the title of Master Breeder. This is the result of many years of good production and confirmation, and all of that with only 12 years of experience to get this highest distinction in Canadian breeding. That was an unforgettable moment. And since then, we have grown our herd. Many cows have become very good or excellent in other herds. We have sold embryos in Sweden and sold 3 bulls to Cemex, and one of those was also marketed in Sweden as well. We're very proud to realize that many animals from our bulls are found across Canada and even in other countries such as Sweden. We've been highly honored over the years that many visitors from many countries, including the United States, Finland, Germany, and England, came to see us to observe our high quality genetics. Before 1998, the herd was composed of 3 very good, 31 good plus, 17 good, and 1 poor. Today it's composed of 5 excellent, 34 very good, 22 good plus, and 1 good. On this picture, we see 2 of our cows that were classified as excellent from the same bull. This photo was used as in advertising by CMEX, and the one at Goach at the left rather was sold to a Quebec herd. Over time, we had 4 all-Canadian cows, 35 breed stars, many certificates of lifetime production, and more than 15 cows who were classed as excellent. We were recognized on the regional and provincial level, so our herd is now classified 13th best in Canada for genetic indices, and many of our subjects are in the top 100 in Canada, including 2 who've also been in second place for a genetic index. For milk production, we have finished 8th in Canada and 10th in North America for comparable sized herds. Many certificates of milk quality and low somatic cell count reinforce the image of our good milk quality. In 2014, in trying to continue to improve the comfort and well-being of the animals, we decided to go to freestall housing with soft mattresses, brushes, improved lighting, manure ventilation, natural ventilation, housing, more feeding space. This allowed better movement of the cows and optimal resting conditions. We've been in freestall situation, and we've continued to try to give access to pasture for the dry cows and the heifers so they can get the nice Appalachian air. We utilize utilize pole sires. In this picture, I talked to you about safety on our farm. There are many fire extinguishers and first aid kits that are around the vehicles and the buildings. All the guards are in place. The bottom of the ladders on the silos are removed except when needed. And finally, we assist and take different first aid courses which add to our knowledge and our skills. As well, during construction, 2 firewalls were installed in order to limit damage in the case of a fire. The need to do more all the time goes through technology. The introduction of robotic milking is such an example. Milking frequency, plate cooler, which decreases milk temperature without using energy, and all the water is recycled for cow watering. Software like Acomba and herd metrics for herd management, medallions to detect the heat, conductivity, and the activity of the cows. We also have surveillance cameras that are installed throughout the barn and which are accessible by internet. And we have to mention the arrival of smartphones with all its applications, which is very useful for agriculture, and even Facebook. Yes, Facebook. This tool for exchanging information, which allows us to increase my social network, and it also allows me to sell some animals. I can even complete some transactions while sitting in my tractor, for example. Oh yes, so how do you explain that then? Well, let's say that it was hard to close that deal. Contrary to this photo, we use direct seeding for most of our forage land, which decreases forage. Here, because we're trying to renovate some pasture land and to make some major corrections, we use the technology of plowing, which also helps with to decrease soil compaction. We have 216 acres of forage, all tile drained, and everything is harvested in round bales. We apply organic fertilizers and lime according to recommendations under the environmental farm plan. We also try to identify the weeds. For the last 8 years, we have gone to total milk ration with a robotized feeder, and we use high moisture corn with the silage in our silage. We have 100 acres of woodland, including a sugar bush with 1,300 traps with efficient spigots in order to try to avoid damage to the trees. In 2003, we reworked the tubings, which increased significantly the production. The brooks are not accessible. We're from the cows on pasture, and we respect a buffer zone next to the watercourses. The drain outlets there are stones around the drain outlets, and we have some wind breaks in order to decrease soil freezing and to get better production. In 2012, we had a project along with the Provincial Department of Agriculture. We got a grant which helped us cover some inlet wells for the drainage, which decreased erosion and which also gave us a new wetland with a retention basin. So these and the marshes, especially in forest, are valued by animals, both amphibians, fish, and animals like that. So in forest, when we've harvested the wood with all the safety equipment, we do what we call a selective cut. Only the largest and the sicker trees are removed. But often we leave some dead wood to create some nesting opportunities for different species and thus encourage more biodiversity in our woodland. Now, in the woods, we also cultivate some wild leek, Canada yew, wild tea, and butternut, which are species that are under stress in Quebec, but which for me are the object of a great passion. As far as the environment, it's normal for us to recycle everything, both metals and used oil. Now we only have 2 tractors, and it's all the equipment for forage production. We also lease a tractor for the summer. We don't have a lot of equipment, but it does the job. A lot of custom work is used for spreading manure, spraying herbicides, seeding. That staff who are trained and for that and specialize time and stress and eliminates large investments. This is good, but for us, one of the most important things in our work is the quality of life and the pleasure of working with our family and with the livestock. We always take a few days rather of vacation per year. As far as pastime are concerned, we fish, soccer, volleyball, walking, skating, baseball, running. Those are sports that we practice and that our children are also active in those. I'm a volunteer coach for many children in the village for a few of these sports that I mentioned. We are also quite involved in our community. I'm a director of Ayrshire, Quebec. I'm the president of the Regional Ayrshire Club for the last 16 years. I'm president of the Ethics Committee for my local Caisse Populaire for the last 10 years. And I'm currently on the board of directors for the case. I was a judge in a provincial contest to find the ideal Ayrshire cow, and I'm the president of the Livestock Improvement Club for 15 years. And I'm vice president for the Beauce, and I've been a provincial delegate for 14 years. Recently, I participated in 3 plays with an amateur theater group in my country. For 19 years, I've been organizing a beach volleyball tournament in our village in Saint-Odillon. In 2010, I was part of the cast for the reality TV show Big Brother, and I finished second. I'm also a volunteer fireman, have been for 9 years. I like to be useful to society. I've been involved on July 6, 2013 after the train accident in Lac Mégantic, and I can assure you that when you see events such as that, we realize that how lucky we are to be able to avoid those types of catastrophes. I'm part of a band where I played clarinet in high school. With the arrival of children, I became a driver for all various school and sport activities. I'm also involved in the school, and I'm a volunteer in the school library. During the day at the farm, we've had many open farm days to show consumers what goes on in agriculture. It is quite important to promote and improve relations between urban folks and rural people in order to show them the proof of our efforts so that they can value our products. We always use plastic boots in order to avoid spreading disease from farm to farm, and the farm also makes a lot of donations to local organizations, and we even gave a milking cow to a young producer who was just starting up production. We have accomplished a lot, but there are always some things to do. We'd like to produce 10,000 kgs per cow to get a bigger stable for dry cows and heifers, and to be able to recycle the bedding, a new housing for the calves, and embrace for the sugar beet. Agriculture, I think, is the best profession to transmit to our children. We hope that they've got our passion and our devotion. It's with that that we can develop our regions, our province, and our country in Canada. There are some major issues at the present time. Decreased price in milk, the uncertainty as far as the trade negotiations, but we want our children to understand that there will always be challenges and that it's important to maintain an attitude where we look at solutions rather than problems.
Merci beaucoup pour présentation.
Thank you for this presentation.
Much for that. And at this time, we will open the microphones for questions. If anyone has a question for Christian and Annie about their operation and the kinds of activities they're involved in Quebec. We've got one. Go ahead.
Michel Robert from Quebec. Congratulations on your presentation. I think that you're quite involved in your community, but I have a question on the equipment side, machinery. You mentioned that you have some specialized, well-trained employees. Can you give us a bit of more detail on that, on the equipment and the custom work?
Le fourrage est fait par nous autres avec un équipement quand même un bon équipement.
We harvest the forages with equipment that works more efficiently, but as far as spreading fertilizers, spreading manure, seeding, that's all done by custom work. We do that because we avoid the big investments in tractor and machinery that we may not need, given that we don't have a lot of land. So I think that this way we decrease our investment costs. It allows us then to invest in the barn and invest in genetics.
Another question? Go ahead.
Bonjour. Your presentation was really great. My question is, we're from a dairy farm in Ontario. What made you choose the Bomatic robot milker? And is there a lot of them in your area? Because I honestly have never seen one. Et tu comprends ça?
Oui, je suis très.
Yes, I'm very happy with the Bomatic robot. It requires very little maintenance. The milking is done from the back. It might sound a little strange, but the first robot that I went to see was in Ontario. It was around Windsor in southern Ontario, but I'm very satisfied. The milking is done from behind. I think the animals are more calm, and there's not the arm that's going between the legs in front, so they're not inclined to kick, and they don't see the arm coming. It's easier to connect, and it works very well. I've been agreeably surprised, and even if the udder is not ideal, you do it. I thought that I would have to cull a lot of cows because of the structure of the udder if the teats are too close together, but I didn't have to cull any. And my herd was in tie stalls prior to the robot.
Further questions for Christian and Annie? We've got another one here. All right. Go ahead.
James Kinsman again. My wife and I own a dairy farm in Nova Scotia, and 2 years ago we were fortunate to be in your situation and be behind the podium, and unfortunately the government support with CETA had just happened, and are you getting it? Anyway, and now we have the disappointing news of the TPP and our government support there. So just wondering your thoughts on TPP and Quebec's stand on TPP.
I'm not sure that I'm qualified to represent all of Quebec on this issue. I believe that the TPP, I believe in farm management, in supply management rather. I think it helps us to manage the price and everything. What's happened is that I think is a little bit the start. The percentage that they want to introduce, but I think that with the dia-filtered milk that's coming across the border is an even bigger problem. I think that what we need to do is to keep an eye on this American milk that's coming over the border. But my opinion on this, I think that we're going to have to learn with that and to become more efficient in what we can do it better, the best way possible. But it's by working harder, and it's with challenges like this. Maybe I'm that type of person, but I think I like challenges and I like to meet the challenges. So I think that that's a good challenge for us in agriculture and for you as well in Nova Scotia, no doubt.
Very well said. At this time, then, we will ask Christiane and Annie to give us a little insight about the gift, the cadeau that they brought for the other honorees. So if you want to show us your gift, that'd be great.
Certainly, we can't talk about Quebec without talking about maple products. So we have some maple butter, so you get the world's best toast. And also some sugar, some maple candy to get your blood sugar levels up. So enjoy. I'm passionate. I'm a passionate Quebecois. I'm proud to be one, and I wanted to give something to you so that you remember me. I can tell you that I believe in that they're coming back. They will be back.
Well, thank you so much, Christiane and Annie. We really enjoyed that, as we've enjoyed each and every one of them. Christiane talked about using Facebook and social media. And, if you want to follow along on say, Twitter, for some of our honorees, a lot of them do have their own Twitter sites or Facebook pages. We do encourage you to do that. It is one way of following up afterwards. And I know several people were reminding me in the hallways to remind everyone that the hashtags on Twitter, it's hashtag COYF15. So that's a great way to follow on highlights of what our speakers have been telling us and, be able to review some of the gems that we've heard already. Well, now it is time to head to Ontario as we meet our honorees from Ontario. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Mike and Amy Cronin. They come to us from Bluevale, Ontario, where they have a dairy operation. So let's say welcome to the Cronins from Ontario.
I don't think we've acquired a dairy operation yet.
So it's an honor to be with everyone today. Thank you so much for having us. It's exciting to be able to share a glimpse of both our family and Cronin family farms. Together, we've been growing our farm and our family for 20 years. We have 6 children, aged 8 to 18, and we've lived in Huron County all our lives. Mike and I have been passionate about agriculture from a young age. We both grew up on dairy farms, and we're always involved in the farm. When we were married in 1995, there was no question that we would farm. However, we had a few challenges: no money and no inheritance or ability to take over either dairy farm. We saw opportunity in the hog industry.
We managed to start up with a 600 sow farrow to weaner operation, purchased the farm January 1st, 98. Everything we had went into the farm. For those of you who don't know, 98 was the worst year in hogs since the 1930s. It was a difficult year for us, but we were determined to make it work.
So this shows you the construction that we did on our farm in 2014. We've grown our farms to include 5 corporations in Canada and 4 in the United States. We currently have 1,150 acres and over 17,000 sows. Projected sales for 2015 include 200,000 early weans, 125,000 feeder pigs, and over 150,000 market hogs. But getting here has not been easy.
By slowly converting contract to owned nurseries, we're able to provide a beautiful home for our systems manager in Ontario, pay down our mortgage rather than paying for contract sites. The contract sites that we do have allow us to use our equity and capital for growth in other areas.
In 2006, after an expansion to... Sorry. The wrong way. There we go. In 2006, after an expansion to our sow herd in Ontario, we found ourselves in a position where we needed to find a home for wiener pigs because our potential buyers had disappeared with the changes in the market. We figured if farmers in the Midwest could buy feeder pigs for a profit of $10 a pig, we could too. We sent our first load to the U.S. in June of 2006, and by September, we saw all kinds of opportunities to use our Canadian business philosophy to grow our operations south of the border. We're often asked why we do what we do, and the answer is easy. We're passionate about agriculture, but more importantly, we think it's the very best environment in which to raise our children. Our family is what motivates us to do more, to give back to our community, and to get involved so that we can make this world a better place for them to be. These 6 kids make us laugh. They make us strive to be better, and they make life an absolute joy, most of the time. It doesn't matter if they want to grow up to be farmers, but rather that they want to grow up and make the world a better place for future generations.
Each one of our children play a different role on our farm. Last year, Alyssa, our oldest daughter, took a year off of school, managed our farrowing rooms, and now she's off to university and comes home to do ridgeline and rupture surgeries. Great practice for the field of medicine that she is pursuing. Tyler manages the finishing barn, and Kyle and Liam manage the wiener barn twice a day, 7 days a week. They are developing good work ethic, building strong relationships with one another, and developing animal husbandry and time management skills. And Sam and Emmy, they're there to help with whatever's needed, pressure washing or helping their siblings with chores.
In 2010, we had hit a glass ceiling. Huron County is a competitive agricultural community, and with the price of land around us rising, we knew it was essential to increase our cash flow in order to be able to grow our farm in Ontario. We were in a management course with strategic planning at the core of the program and spent a year and a half clearly identifying where we wanted to go and how we wanted to get there. Progressive, prosperous, best in class is our vision, and our mission is to be a profitable, sustainable family business providing quality products and services to the global market. Every 3 years, we take the time to do a SWOT analysis, identifying our strategic intents and map out our business plan. At the heart of what we do are our core values. Our entire team embraces our plan, and our vision, mission, and core values are hung in all 50 sites.
Relationships are the core of our business, and farming in another country makes it even more important. We met Howard and Kathy when we first started farming in the U.S. There was an instant bond. They've welcomed us into their family, into their home like family. They've helped us build relationships with suppliers, contract growers, and customers that share similar sets of core values.
We couldn't do what we do without our team. In 2013, after working with our field manager for 3 years, we were able to strike a deal that changed his life. Ivan grew up on a farm, but never had the opportunity to own his own. We were able to back him in the purchase of a farm and offer him a long-term lease for the facility. It was definitely a win-win. He's incredibly happy to call himself a farmer, and we've ensured that we have a fantastic individual like him as a part of our company for years to come. The added bonus is that we have a facility in Missouri with fantastic biosecurity where we provide multiplication for a genetic company.
Being a Canadian proved to be a challenge when accessing capital for U.S. expansion. Our Canadian banker had reservations about lending us money for U.S. assets, and our U.S. banker wouldn't lend us money because we're Canadian. Although we had a fabulous business plan, we needed to be creative in order to access financing. We came up with a plan, whereas through a third party that held a contract, we had farmers put up $10 per pig for every pig they'd purchase in the first year. That provided us with $1.2 million worth of capital, and the third party gave us a $500,000 equity note in addition. Now that we've grown our business there, accessing funds is much easier.
Improved capture and integration of information sources and ensuring consistency as to how we capture all of that information is very important in managing our growing farm business. Our data consistency then helps us to analyze our business in a timely manner across different dimensions and to determine whether performance is on or off target. In the past 4 years, we've converted all companies to a managerial accounting system. We're able to create budgets, forecasts, analysis, report on closeouts, and evaluate costs and revenues on an overall business level and per unit. We utilize benchmarking programs to help us understand where we can improve on either the financial or the production side to propel us forward.
When in Newfoundland, we saw similarities between icebergs and our business. You never really know what lies below the surface in the hog industry. It can be a volatile one. We've diversified in many ways and made decisions to focus on margins rather than the price. We participate in conference calls twice a week, watching the markets throughout the day, hedging hogs, soy, corn, and sometimes the dollar. In 2015, we had 95% of our hogs hedged, and we have 90% currently hedged for 16.
On all levels of our farm, we work to integrate the latest in research. We've participated in and welcomed multiple on-farm research projects with universities across Canada on projects such as most effective euthanasia methods, post-cervical artificial insemination, and ad-lib feeders.
In-house, we are constantly doing research in many different areas in both Canada and the US. Through collaboration with different companies, we were able to do research in pig genetics, fungicide sprays, application rates of fertilizer, feed trials, vaccines, and more. The benefit is twofold. We are able to see the results and be the first to implement, and the industry gets to use the information on their farms.
People define innovation in many different ways. Innovation is a new idea, a more effective device, or a more effective process, something that all of us can benefit from. In 2014 alone, we invested in many innovative improvements on our farm. A truck wash and biocontainment and disposal facility, an inventive gilt barn, and transfer chutes for biosecurity. We were also very excited to build a crate-free system for 6,000 sows in Missouri. The first of its kind in North America, it incorporates technology from all over the world. Group housing, electronic feeders, pens in our farrowing rooms, designed, developed, and trialed by us in Ontario, and an electronic thumbprint time clock that allows our admin staff in Ontario to access information on team members at any time.
We understand that environmental stewardship is one of continuous improvement. We have nutrient management plans, environmental farm plans, and emergency plans. We prioritize soil conservation, manure management, fertilizer, pesticide use, biosecurity, electricity use, and woodlot management in our business plan. We want to leave the land in better condition than when we found it. This year on one of our newer farms, we were able to reshape the land to reduce erosion and make the land more productive. We moved back topsoil, stripped away 12 to 14 feet of sandy, gravelly fill, and took it down to the clay base, recovered with topsoil. In a lower section, we were able to clean up some brush and make more workable land. The farm is being tiled next month. We are working with the Conservation Authority to plant trees along fence lines to reduce wind erosion and provide natural habitats for wildlife.
Relationships are the key to our business. From business relationships to human resources, we focus on a win-win attitude. We've transitioned from one team member in 1998 to 81 currently. We focus on putting the right person in the right place and empower our team through education and regular team meetings. Our crew from Guatemala is featured here, a group of guys that not only works for us, but plays soccer and celebrates holidays with our family. Next week, we're taking them to the first Canadian hockey game.
We couldn't do what we do without our fantastic team. We've been blessed with a team that is fully engaged in our family business and committed to our core values. Our managers run their farms like they're their own and take pride in what they do.
We've had our share of challenges. A precedent-setting court case, Mike's permanent brain injury almost 3 years ago, volatile markets, and transitioning into the U.S. But they've all been opportunities to grow and improve in what we do. Our court case helped us to understand and improve our data capture. Mike's brain injury forced us to empower our team like we had never before. We've become very good at risk management, hedging, and diversifying our business because we deal with volatile markets.
We are committed to our industry. I'm one of 2 Canadians invited to sit on the U.S. 21st Century Pork Forum, delegate for Ontario Pork and part of the Swine Innovators Club. Amy's been the chair of Ontario Pork for 4 years, sits on many provincial and federal ag boards, Canadians 21st Century Pork Forum, and was appointed by our Premier and Minister of Ag to co-chair the Ontario Agri-Foods Growth Steering Committee. Our family volunteers in many capacities in the industry. Most recently, you may have seen them in the comfort of your own home promoting Ontario Pork in a TV commercial.
In April, I had the privilege of traveling to China on a trade mission with our provincial minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, and our trade minister. Representing the pork industry in Ontario, I was able to promote not only our fantastic products, but the food safety standards, water quality, and animal care used to raise our animals, something that is enviable by nations such as China.
Being part of and giving back to our community is something that we value. We encourage our children to be thankful for what they have and give back as often as possible. All of our kids are involved in our parish, volunteering for weddings, missing schools for funeral, reading, and more. I've coached soccer for 22 years, and we sponsor our local soccer teams. We donate 400 pounds of sausage to the food bank twice a year. This year, we purchased new jerseys for this high school rugby team and a sound system for the church.
Our community is at the heart of who we are. I'm a school board trustee, vice chair of the local credit union board, and a director for a Southwestern Ontario Foundation for Youth. Our family often hosts community groups at our house. For example, twice a year, the Amabile Boys Choir sends 2 busloads of boys from the city to spend a day on the farm, running, swimming, rehearsing, and eating homegrown sausage. We believe in giving back to the community in many, many ways. It's part of who we are. As parents, we want to give our kids experiences in life that will help them to grow into responsible, community-oriented adults. We've never gone on a big trip as a family before, so we thought carefully about where we wanted to go. We thought about Disney and the Caribbean, but we felt called to take our family on a mission trip to Haiti. And all I can say is that it was the most exciting and wonderful trip that we could have ever done.
We have many projects on the go. The future looks bright. Together, we love to think about what's next and how to get there. For the past year, we've been working on a potential contract in a niche market with sows on straw. We've been searching the globe for technology and machines that we need, designing pieces of equipment, and working collaboratively with research institutions to find solutions. We've signed a contract to have solar panels put on unproductive land on our farms and looking at other energy sources.
We are passionate about what we do with farming, our family, and the community, but we're grateful that it's through farming that we're able to enjoy life, bringing kids with us on business trips, enjoying time with friends, and traveling. We're definitely known to be a goofy family at times. Our life is a balancing act, but farming has allowed us to integrate work and pleasure, even though it is a little chaotic at times. Core value number 1, our family is our greatest asset. Farming, unlike many businesses, is a way of life, and we've integrated it into everything that we do. Our children are at the center of our lives and are all involved on our farm. It's while working side by side that we're able to have the very best of conversations. We're discussing succession as we see the next generation interested in farming. And in the meantime, we're incredibly happy to be farmers and provide a way of life for our family that is second to none. Thank you.
So I guess that's not really a dairy farm. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I guess I would say, though, in my defense, you are milking every opportunity possible in the hog production. Yeah, okay. I worked in ag news for a while. You work on those puns. So anyway, thank you for that. And we do have opportunity for questions. I see we've got them lined up already, so go ahead. I think we'll start over this side. Go ahead.
Oui, merci pour votre présentation.
Thanks very much for your presentation. Thanks very much for your presentation. Is it working? 1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Earlier we had a question on the Trans-Pacific Free Trade Agreement. It can give some challenge for certain sectors. In your sector, in the pork, because you work in both countries, on your operation, do you have some examples that this new agreement could improve your situation on your two operation sites? We
offer all kinds of opportunities for producers in Canada, and I think our government took a very balanced approach when they were negotiating it. For us, because both the US and Canada were involved in that agreement, I don't think that one side of our business has more of an opportunity over the other. We always say, though, that if one of those two countries wasn't able to be a part of that Trans-Pacific Partnership, there would be a risk in losing the markets that we already have. And I know that specifically in Canada and in the US as well, our most high value markets are included in that TPP agreement. So it was essential for our business, and we're very pleased that both Canada and the United States were able to be a part of it.
All right, you've got lots. Go ahead on this side now.
Thank you. Rick Thiessen, British Columbia. If I understood right from your presentation, a lot of your growth came in the last 10 years, and you also described the mid to late 90s as being the worst time in the hog industry. If I recall correctly, probably the mid 2000s was even worse. And I'm just wondering how you managed this significant growth in the last 10 years, going through one of the worst times for hog producers, in the last, 20, 30, 40, 50 years even. And now, from what I understand, it is better in Canada, but in the US, it's maybe not quite so good at the moment. So just wondering how you're managing through all of that.
So right up front, we purchased quite a bit of land right at the beginning. We had a couple good years after 98 experience, 98, 99. So we were able to leverage that land because land prices were rising pretty rapidly to continue to fund our operations. But also the fact that we put pigs in the US. In those 2000 years, we were making money on our pigs in the US, and we paid management fees back to our Canadian companies. So that's one way of to balance things out, and so that really helped on that aspect. And now today, like I said, we're hedging hogs. We're trying to reduce the risk. We have a contract with a packing plant that allows us to, with zero basis on our contract, we can hedge 18 months out and no margin calls, so we don't have to worry about Chicago.
All right, we'll head to this side. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mike Callisfart from Alberta. I just wondered, your 17,000 sows, you briefly mentioned diversification. It doesn't seem to me that you're very diversified. I wonder if you could expand on that.
I think that's a fantastic question. And it's a conversation that we have every time we talk about expansion on our farm. So we have thought very carefully about how we diversify our operation, but we always want to make sure that what we're involved in, it's something that we're knowledgeable about and we're able to be successful in. And so the way that we've managed to diversify our operation is by eliminating the risk of a border. We have operations in Canada and operations in the US. All of them have to be able to survive on their own merit, and each one of them is a profitable corporation. But we've done a lot of different things as well. So we have a genetic company. So we're providing genetics, a multiplication unit, where we're providing genetics. There's a couple of different risk management factors in there. One of them is that we've got first access to those high quality animals on our farm. But the other one is that there's a flat fee for every pig that comes out of there, and it's not impacted by volatile markets. And we've also been able to, with that 6,000 head nursery or sow barn in Missouri that I talked about, that's also a flat fee for every pig because it is a niche market and there's all kinds of creative and innovative things that we're doing there. So we do have some risk in certain areas, but we've kind of alleviated that risk in a lot of different ways by accessing different markets in Canada and in the US. And in Canada, we own our processing. We're part of a cooperative that with 175 farmers or something like that work together. We own the processing plant, so we have less risk there as well. So that's what we talk about when we say diversification. Thanks for the question.
We'll go back over here. Go ahead.
Oui, Karl Marquis, Québec.
Karl Marquis in Quebec. I don't have a great knowledge in pork production besides by liking baking a lot. For a big, large operation like you have, what is the impact if you adapt very green? It costs a lot more to have take the hogs out of crates and stuff. And when you apply green technology to your operation, what does that do to the bottom line?
Taking the sows out of the crates, it's a different management style. From production standpoint, we can achieve the same production. There's maybe a little bigger footprint, giving more space to the animals. But from overall production, we can match. But the key is the people that we have overseeing the farms. Running a farm with open housing, it's more like running a dairy. That you have a herdsman that's visually looking at the animals more closely, where when they're in an individual crate, you can focus one-on-one. So you need different skill sets to manage a farm like that.
And for sure, some of the things that we've done have cost more money, but we make sure that when we're figuring out our cash flows on potential projects, that there's financial compensation for some of those things that upfront cost more.
One more question. I guess we'll take one more question if we can. Go ahead.
You already touched on it a little bit, but you already talked about how most of your expansion has been fairly rapid. I'm just wondering how you dealt with that, also expanding into a brand new country.
Doesn't come without its challenges.
So I think what I'll start with is, Mike and I are a team, and it's not, you see it here with all of these fantastic couples, but we are both actively involved in our farm, and either one of us can handle any meeting that needs to happen. And so I think that helps when you're thinking about expansion. It's meant that we've had to have really empower the people around us and use fantastic people. So we surround ourselves with great people and make sure that we're learning from them as well. And it also means that we've got to be very careful about looking at the different laws. So we're in 2 different states and a different province, and they all have different labor laws and different tax laws and all of that stuff. So it's about constantly researching, and that's part of what we do in our office all the time. I hope that answers the question.
Great. Well, sorry to cut you off, but we need to move on. And with that, I'll ask the Cronins to share a little bit about what they've brought to the other honorees and show us their gift.
So we thought long and hard about what we wanted to bring, and of course, everyone would want bacon. But we weren't sure how everybody would get the bacon back home, and then when they finally ate it, it might not be such a great idea. So what we did instead was, really what I did was we've made each one of the honorees a quilted table runner. So for a few different reasons. Most of our conversations happen at the kitchen table. And so while you're at the kitchen table, you'll be able to think about the great times that you had when you're with the Outstanding Young Farmer program. A couple of things about it. The backs are all the same, and the back represents the foundation of agriculture. So although all of us are very different, we all come from that same foundation. And I like to think that agriculture is about family, and it's about community, and it's about growing food to feed the world. The front of the runners, though, are all different. So everybody will get different colors, and that means that we all come from different commodities. We all have different personalities, and we all have different goals. But in the end, everybody's business is a beautiful runner, and it doesn't matter how you make that up. And so we just you know, put a congratulations for everybody on the back and wrote that we're from Blueville, Ontario, because we want to make sure that when you come to Ontario, you stop in. Thanks.